Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a really fascinating dive into one of the most intellectually charged astrological placements out there, Mercury in the third house. But hey, even if you don't follow astrology all that closely, you'll definitely want to stick with me here. Why? Because this specific placement actually offers a profound universal masterclass on mindfulness, our cognitive habits, and just the sheer raw power of our internal dialogue. We're going to explore how a truly brilliant mind operates, the hidden traps of overthinking, and ultimately how to master a restless brain.
So let me ask you something directly, and I want you to really, genuinely think about this for a second. Are your thoughts helping you live wisely, or are they quietly controlling your life? I mean, we spend our entire lives inside our own heads, right? Listening to this inner monologue that basically never shuts up. This anchor question is going to guide our entire explainer today, because honestly, the way you answer it completely defines your daily reality.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're breaking this down into 3 parts. Act 1, the gift, curiosity and connection. To truly grasp the rapid-fire intellect that defines this mindset, let's zoom out a bit and clearly define what we're looking at. In astrology, Mercury is literally the planet of intelligence, language, ideas, and reasoning. The third house, on the other hand, is the sector governing everyday learning, speaking, writing, and how we process information. So when Mercury sits in the third house, it's finding its absolute home. It feels completely and naturally at ease here. It's this ultimate, perfect synergy between the planet of the mind and the house of communication.
Because Mercury is so perfectly at home, people with this placement possess what we can basically call a powerhouse intellect. Reading, writing, learning, it all just feels entirely natural to them. They've got these incredibly quick minds and ridiculously sharp observation skills. They essentially walk through life with this endless, burning desire to just understand the world around them. For them, every single answer just inspires a brand new question. They're the ones effortlessly connecting random, overlooked details that the rest of us totally miss. You know, they're the people falling down a Wikipedia rabbit hole at 3 a.m. about ancient Roman aqueducts just because they saw a funny-shaped pipe earlier that day. And rather than being drained by continuous conversations, they're actually energized by them. Their mind is just a sponge, constantly searching.
And because they're constantly taking in and processing the world, their output is just as impressive. Their natural expression makes them fantastic teachers, writers, and storytellers. They often end up being that one specific person that everyone else goes to for advice. Because to them, words aren't just sounds. Words become actual, powerful tools used to inspire, to educate, comfort, or encourage the people around them. They just have this tremendous ability to leave a lasting impression on someone purely through the way they communicate. But as we know, every bright light casts a shadow. Let's move to and see how this builds in Act 2, the shadow. Overload and exhaustion. This is where we uncover the hidden, often totally exhausting burdens of an intellect that just never stops. See, there's a really crucial difference between an active mind and a restless mind. We just talked about the active mind, that amazing gift of constantly seeking understanding and sparking brilliant new ideas. But the hidden challenge here is that the thinking never truly powers down. Even during those moments when they desperately need to rest, the mind just continues its relentless march. It's analyzing past conversations, remembering random facts from a decade ago, comparing outcomes, planning for tomorrow, or just imagining entirely fictional scenarios. It's an incredible ability to gather facts for sure, but man, it is an exhausting reality to live with.
Now, what's really interesting about the progression on this slide is how it maps out the long-term impact. The third house governs daily mental habits, and this stepladder visually shows exactly why that's so important. It all starts with a single thought. Thoughts repeated every day slowly solidify into your beliefs. Those beliefs then quietly influence your daily decisions. Your decisions over time shape your habits, and finally, those habits build your ultimate character. This placement is a huge reminder that every single repeated thought is quietly and diligently constructing the very life you experience.
Which leads us directly to this pretty profound truth. The conversations happening inside your own mind shape your emotional well-being far more than any conversation you're ever going to have with another person. I mean, think about it. If your mind is constantly expecting failure, your confidence naturally weakens. If your mind constantly compares you to other people, your peace just disappears. If you're constantly worrying, even perfectly peaceful moments become literally impossible to enjoy. We put so much focus on our physical habits, but our mental habits? They deserve just as much, if not way more, of our attention.
And then, throw modern life into the mix and wow, things get complicated fast. This is the modern trap. Mercury naturally loves absorbing information, right? Which makes this kind of active mind uniquely vulnerable to information overload. We're surrounded by endless news, hot takes, videos, text messages, and just constant digital noise. The mind eagerly consumes all of it, becoming incredibly crowded with facts. But as the mind fills up to the brim, clarity quietly slips out the back door. Trying to process an infinite stream of data inevitably leads to severe, deep mental exhaustion.
And this brilliantly illustrates the antidote to that modern exhaustion. It's profound, but honestly, it's simple. Sometimes the healthiest choice is not learning something new, but allowing the mind enough silence to understand what it already knows. Knowing more facts does not automatically make you wise. Sometimes you really don't need another podcast, another article, or another 10-minute video. Sometimes you just need a moment of complete mental silence to let the dust settle and to actually integrate the knowledge you've already gathered.
Which brings us to our final act. Act 3, the mastery, wisdom and silence.
Here, we're transitioning away from the constant noisy gathering of intelligence and moving into actual peaceful wisdom. As we look at the balance of communication, we see a necessary shift from output to input. Active speaking is powerful, absolutely. It influences others, it teaches, and it leaves those lasting impressions we talked about earlier. But speaking wisely requires listening carefully. A quick mind shouldn't ever replace deep understanding. Some of life's absolute greatest lessons arrive not when we're talking, but when we're deep listening, when we are remaining completely present. Because deep listening often changes lives far more deeply than just handing out advice.
And that brings us to adaptability. Mercury loves changing perspectives whenever a new understanding pops up, which is fantastic because it prevents rigid, stubborn thinking. But if you're constantly changing your opinions without any deeper reflection, well, you just end up confused. Wisdom actually grows through balancing that amazing curiosity with thoughtful judgment. Learning is immensely valuable, but reflection, that's what actually gives your learning its meaning.
So, the crucial point is this. Perhaps the single greatest challenge and the ultimate mastery of this restless mind is realizing that not every thought deserves your attention. Your mind is going to naturally produce thousands of thoughts every single day. Some of them are going to inspire growth, sure, but a lot of them, they just create unnecessary fear, comparison, or self-doubt. You can't always control which thoughts pop into your head, but you have the absolute power to choose which ones actually receive your focus. And making that choice, that is the key to emotional freedom.
We so often measure intelligence by the volume of thoughts filling a mind, or how many random facts someone can confidently recite. But true intelligence, that's about expertly curating your thoughts. It's knowing exactly which thoughts deserve your belief, knowing which thoughts deserve to be immediately released, and knowing which thoughts deserve to just be met with peaceful silence.
Bringing us right back to where we started today. When you look at the incredible nonstop activity inside your own mind, you have to ask yourself, are your thoughts serving you or are they ruling you? A brilliant, active mind becomes its most valuable when it's guided by wisdom rather than just constant, frantic activity. When your mind finally becomes your trusted companion instead of your constant master, you unlock true clarity. So ask yourself today, who is really in charge inside your head? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Until next time.